Hello and welcome to Geek History Lesson. I'm Jason Dark Inman.
I am Ashley Victoria Robinson, and welcome to your Mind University, because you have stumbled onto the podcast where we take one character, construct, or league from popular culture and teach you everything you need to know about them in about an hour. And today, the dark and mysterious Professor Jason Inman is going to teach us about...
the Justice League Dark.
Ooh.
Yeah. We're talking about them because they have an animated movie that comes out this week on Blu-ray and
Heck
DVD.
yeah.
It's been around on digital download for quite a while. It's a pretty cool movie. Stars a little Constantine, has a little Swamp Thing, has a little sprinkling of Batman.
Everything is better with Batman.
Oh, especially the sprinkling of Batman.
Yeah.
And I just want to point out to everybody that you might want to stick around all the way to the end of the podcast because we have a cool mystical thing that we might chat about, might pop in towards the very end. This lesson was also suggested by listener Russ Walker. So welcome, Russ. You are the assistant professor today, and I'll take an iced tea, so hop to it.
Nice. Well done, Russ.
Ashley.
Jason.
Before we jump into the podcast, I want to ask you a question.
I am ready.
Do you know why Superman doesn't wear his underpants on the outside anymore?
I don't.
It's because his underpants weren't Mack Weldon underpants.
Ooh.
And today's podcast is brought to you by Mack Weldon, lovely sponsor.
We love them.
And no, Mack Weldon isn't a schoolboy chum of Lex Luthor. Mack Weldon is a company that sells cool clothing. They believe in smart design, premium fabrics, and simple shopping. I went over there. I ordered some stuff.
Oh, yeah?
And believe you me, it is very, very simple. I ordered a nice long sleeve shirt. It's blue.
Superman blue.
I ordered it to make me feel like Superman. And I also ordered some bright pink socks because who doesn't need more pink in their life? I mean, come on, right?
Exactly.
And now, Ashley, do you remember how I said that Mack Weldon isn't a supervillain?
I do remember that.
Well, they might have hoodwinked us.
Whoa.
Because they have a line of silver underwear. I found this on their site that they say naturally eliminates antimicrobial. Did I say that word right?
Yes, you did. Very good. Very good.
Antimicrobial, which means it eliminates odors. They have underwear that can get rid of odors, and that sounds like technology straight from Darkseid.
That is so evil.
And it's so straight from Darkseid that our listeners can go straight to MackWeldon.com and get 20% off using the promo code GEEK. That's GEEK. And Mack Weldon wants you to be comfortable, all our listeners. So if you don't like your first pair, you can keep it, and they will still refund you. No questions asked. And that sounds like an awesome, evil underwear company if I've ever heard of one.
Say what? That is so evil.
All right. So remember, MackWeldon.com, get 20% off using the promo code GEEK, which is a special offer to our listeners. And we thank Mack Weldon for sponsoring this episode of Geek History Lesson.
We thank them for bringing back the red trunk shorts.
That's right. Trunk shorts. I love that word.
Trunk shorts.
Okay. So, Ashley, let's get dark. Let's get some Justice League dark. And let's hop into the first section of our podcast, the 10-cent origin.
Yes, and if you don't know, the 10-cent origin is all the basic constructs, creators, and abilities in case you go to a real cool cocktail party and someone's like, what's up with the Justice League Dark?
Yeah, what is up with the Justice League Dark?
It's a good question because they are suspicious characters, I would say.
Haha. Well, of course, the Justice League Dark is a DC comic book. Ongoing series. The first appearance was in Justice League Dark #1, imagine that, in September 2011.
Ooh, Justice League
Yep.
Dark #1.
They were created by Peter Milligan and Mikkel Janin, amazing artist.
Cool.
Their home base is the House of Mystery. They were ongoing series, of course, and their series lasted from September 2011 to March of 2015. Some of the members are John Constantine.
Hey, we know him. We like him.
Madame Xanadu.
We know her.
Deadman.
Cool.
Zatanna.
Oh, love her.
Frankenstein.
Ooh, scary.
Swamp Thing, and some other various members because the Justice League Dark membership is fluid.
As with all Justice League teams.
Yes. All right, so let's hop next into the 10-cent origin.
I think you mean the meet cute.
Oh, yes, I do meet the meet cute.
We could rewind, but let's go to the meet cute,
Listen,
which is...
I'm going to tell you, we have so entered the deep and dark of the DC universe that in my notes, somebody changed the meet cute to 10-cent origin, and I'm blaming John Constantine.
That would be something that John would do just to make you trip up. But the meet cute is the part of the podcast that we stole from romantic comedy writing, where we tell you the first time we met these characters and how cute it was.
Well, Ashley, my meet cute is pretty simple for the Justice League Dark. It was basically when the New 52 was announced. And I remember they showed all the previews and stuff like that. And I was very excited about DC's reboot of their new universe. I was pretty excited about it. And I actually bought issue 1 of Justice League Dark because I thought the idea of John Constantine and Deadman as Zatanna kind of being on this super team was a great idea. I actually like the name Justice League Dark. I think it's a cool name.
I do too. I think it's a great movie title.
And in the first issue, Cyborg and Superman are in it.
Mm-hmm.
So where did you first meet cute, the Justice League Dark?
Well, my meet cute of the Justice League Dark is very similar to yours, as one would imagine. I bought it because I love the idea that Zatanna was on the team. She has long been a favorite character of mine since the bygone days of the Bruce Timm era television shows, surprising absolutely no one. And I read the whole series. I did not necessarily read it month to month, but I read...
You've read the whole book?
I read the whole thing.
Wow, what am I going to teach you then?
You're probably going to remind me of something that I forgot. I'm quite old and have a feeble memory.
Okay.
So you're going to teach me some cool new things, and you're going to remind me of some continuity that I have long since forgotten.
Sounds good to me.
All right, let's roll right into the History 101, the main meat of the lesson, where Professor Jason is going to open our third eye to the history of the Justice League Dark.
And as I do that, I'm going to demand that Russ, the person who suggested this lesson, Russ Walker.
T.A. Russ.
Where's my tea? Okay. All right, now that I've said that, we're going to jump into some publication history. Justice League Dark was announced on May 31st, 2011 as a first wave title of the New 52. Mm-hmm. The title and team was Peter Milligan and Michaela Janin, of course. The title launched in September of 2011, as I said before, and the title brought several of DC's occult and offbeat characters together as a team, something which had been a trait of the sister imprint Vertigo, and brought these weird characters back into the main DC universe following Vertigo's editorial change to publish purely new creator-owned content.
Cool.
So there you go. And now we're going to jump into the fictional history of the Justice League Dark. And I just want to say that the Justice League Dark is a 40-issue series. There's a lot there. I'm going to jump past certain stuff. I'm going to synopsize certain stuff just because I want to point out what I think are the most important beats of this. So if you're coming at me being like, you forgot this. No, I didn't. I read the entire series to prepare for this lesson. I'm just deciding what I think is important for the layman on the street to know.
As what happens with every geek history lesson.
Exactly. Now, the opening story of the Justice League Dark involves Enchantress's defeat of the Justice League, leading to the necessity of a more supernatural team to assist in these events. Mm-hmm. And it basically details how they came together.
Cool.
Now, Madame Xanadu organizes the group. She's basically a immortal fortune teller.
Yes.
Yeah, she likes to just sit behind her crystal ball and just be like, oh, John Constantine.
And make vague prophecies.
There you go. Now, she organizes the group called the Justice League Dark when she foresees a terrible future that only they can prevent. They are assembled to stop the Enchantress when she goes off on a rampage after being separated from her host, June Moon. Now, Ashley, the Enchantress. Who is the Enchantress?
The Enchantress is an archaeologist named June Moon, who becomes possessed by the spirit of an ancient being that makes her look different and act kind of evil, but she has magical powers. If you saw the Suicide Squad live-action movie, you will recognize her from that.
Exactly. Now, also at this point, it is good to point out that the team who calls themselves the Justice League Dark in the first arc, they never actually called themselves the Justice League Dark. They do not get that name until the third arc of the book, and we'll get to that later.
Cool.
Now, Enchantress begins to go insane, and Xanadu gives Enchantress the names of those working against her, including John Constantine, Zatanna, Shade the Changing Man, and Deadman. Now, Ashley, really quickly, we kind of talked about them a little bit more. Very quickly, who are these characters? Who's John Constantine?
John Constantine is a trickster magician from England who's blonde and talks with an accent and smokes.
Who's Zatanna?
Zatanna is the daughter. I'm so sorry.
She could be the son.
I regendered her. I don't know. Like, she could be trans. It's pretty open. She is the daughter of Zatara Zatanna, who is the world's greatest magician, which I guess makes her the world's greatest magician with a better costume. She says she creates magic by saying stuff backwards.
She says incantations
like
backwards.
Wiccan.
Yep. Who is Deadman?
Deadman is a mostly Boston brand. He's a spirit of a guy who can take over other people's bodies and use them to his will.
Yep, he's basically a ghost. And then lastly, Shade the Changing Man is Rack Shade. He's a redheaded, lovelorn poet sent to Earth to stop a growing tide of madness from consuming the planet, wearing his M-Vest, which is actually a madness vest capable of warping reality.
Yeah, he's the most out there of the original four.
He is a Steve Ditko character.
Yes.
originally.
And once you say that, everything makes sense.
Steve Ditko, of course, the co-creator of Spider-Man.
Yes, indeed.
So there you go. Now, also during this first storyline, there is an unfortunate side storyline of Deadman wanting to become more intimate with his current girlfriend, the superheroine Dove, because he's a ghost. So he keeps possessing bodies and bringing random guys up to her and being like, hey, let's kiss. And she's like, this is gross.
It's weird.
And thankfully, that storyline is completely forgotten.
Good.
So, after that, Boston Brand does his best to try to protect the mortal and human June Moon from being possessed from the Enchantress, even trying to possess her, possessing the Enchantress, I mean, and noticing that the Enchantress's body is actually an empty shell. Constantine figures out that Madame Xanadu gave all of them up to the enemy. And Xanadu reveals that she is having future visions of the carnage that will happen and the entire team being dead. And, of course, that is the reason why Xanadu, that June Enchantress got separated, was that whole idea.
Yep.
So in a giant battle, Constantine forces the human form of June Moon back into Enchantress. Kind of a tricksy move.
Yeah, it's a good move. It's a very Constantine move.
And after this, when Xanadu tries to rally them all as a team, they all angrily refuse her. Eventually, Constantine, Deadman, Shade, and Zatanna begin having horrible nightmares, and they all visit Xanadu again. And she reveals that the visions of their nightmares are what will happen if they do not form as a team. And so they all decide to become as a team. They don't call themselves Justice League Dark. That'll come later.
Yeah, but what are you going to call the book? Like a bunch of weird gothy friends? Come on.
Their next storyline involves a vampire.
Yay!
Andrew Bennett is killed, and his death releases Cain, a primordial evil known as the sire of all vampires. And this is the apocalypse that they were all assembled to prevent. And Xanadu takes all of them to fight him in Gotham City. And we get cameos from Batman and Batgirl. Now, Ashley, who is Andrew Bennett?
The vampire that appears in the story.
Well, Andrew Bennett, if you are a big fan of the New 52, is the lead character of I, Vampire.
Oh, that's right. I knew Cain was from I, Vampire.
So there you go. That's why I wanted
I,
to put
Vampire
it
is a good book.
Yes.
I haven't read that in about a year.
Now, Constantine and Deadman are sent into the afterlife to bring back Bennett, while Xanadu barters for power with the Crystal One. Bennett struggles with his purpose in purgatory. Cain steals magic from League members and uses it to erase the vampire weaknesses, making his army completely unstoppable. And Xanadu balances the scales by allowing Bennett to share Cain's powers. Now, Shade, finally during this battle, has a complete mental breakdown and loses control of his invest, leaving the League and slipping into the area of madness, where he can finally be happy with his girlfriend, Kathy George. Basically, he's dead.
Yeah.
So
For all intents and purposes.
Shade is flat out dead. Mary, Queen of Blood, assists the League, but they are nowhere near powerful enough to stop Cain. So Constantine and Deadman are unable to convince Bennett to return, but Bennett is like, I'll come back because I can wield godlike power, so I'll be mortal.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
Yeah. Bennett beheads Cain and takes control of the vampire army, making them peaceful. And Constantine warns him that they'll come after him if they need to, and Bennett promises the team a favor for helping his friends.
Cool.
So there you go.
Yay.
Now we get into the Jeff Lemire run of Justice League Dark, where they become a little bit more of a formal team under the control of DC's organization that is like S.H.I.E.L.D., Argus. And this is the storyline where Steve Trevor nicknames them the Justice League Dark.
I forgot it was Steve. That's
Yep.
nice.
And Constantine actually hates that nickname.
Well, Constantine hates everything.
Well, military people, we need nicknames.
Yeah. Everyone's got a team name. It's okay.
So Steve Trevor pulls all the team together and Constantine together with the promise to give Constantine 10 minutes alone in the Argus Black Room. Now, the Argus Black Room is the government's secret depository of mystic artifacts.
Ooh.
Their mission is that they are sent to extract Dr. Mist and take down Felix Faust. Now, Dr. Mist is an African-American magic man that works for Argus and Steve, and Felix Faust is a classic Justice League villain who usually dresses like an Egyptian.
Is it not Faust?
I think it is. It is.
Like Faust.
You are probably correct. I was giving it the reading that my childhood. You know, we've had this conversation on the podcast before.
We can have it
when
again.
you read a comic book and you see a word, you don't know how it's said.
Yeah.
I say Felix Faust.
Yeah, whatever.
Or Faust.
Especially when you're a kid, you're just like, this is how you
But
say
I
it.
will now say Felix Faust.
Faust.
Faust. I
Like
still can't say
ow.
it. We'll see if I even make it through this podcast.
All right,
Yeah, I'll say that.
I won't harp on it.
You know, my 10-year-old brain, like, I'm saying it how I say it.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay, there you go.
That's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah. All right. Andrew Bennett and Argus agent Black Orchid accompany Constantine, Deadman, and Zatanna on this mission. Now, Black Orchid, if you're wondering who that is Alba Garcia. She is Subject 28 in the so-called Project Ascension, the result of which gave her a connection to both the red and the green in the DC universe. Now, Ashley, explain what the red is and then explain what the green is.
Okay, so the red is a power that unites a bunch of different natural elements in the DC universe, and the red has to do with animals.
And that's where Animal Man, Buddy Baker, gets his powers.
And sometimes Beast Boy, even though he's green. Don't worry about it.
Sometimes Beast Boy, yes.
And then the green is the uniting element and force behind all of the flora, all of the plants.
And it is the basis of Swamp Thing's powers. Yes. Now, a bunch of the team does not want to go on this mission.
Understandably.
Including Zatanna, until John tells her that the Argus Black Room has her father's hat. And in his 10 minutes, he will grab it for her.
Aww.
So she's like, okay, I'll do it.
That's when I'm like, you're a boyfriend and a girlfriend.
Well, the interesting thing about this is that very much in the New 52, and especially the Justice League Dark, it deals a lot with the relationship that John Constantine and Zatanna are exes.
Yeah.
And they dated for quite a while.
Yeah. I wish they were still dating.
Well, you will get some nice beats in this history lesson.
Yeah.
So the team beats Faust, and they're rewarded with a box that will lead them to the Books of Magic. So like a little cube.
Okay.
So John then introduces the team to their new headquarters, the House of Mystery.
I mean, what else are you going to call where the Justice League Dark hangs out?
Well, no, the House of Mystery is called the House of Mystery because there's a purpose to that name.
I know, and it's a long-standing DC name.
John Constantine, who claims to have won the key to the house in a poker game against Dr. Occult and Father Time.
Yeah.
John takes his time to adjust to the House of Mystery due to the changing rooms and the feel that the house likes to play tricks on people and when superheroes enter it. Also, a fun little beat. If you accept the owner's invitation to the House of Mystery, then that owner can call you from any location, anywhere in existence at any moment, right back to the house.
Nuts to that. So don't go inside the House of Mystery.
Well, you can go inside the House of Mystery. You just cannot accept the invitation. It's kind of like the vampires entering the threshold.
Yeah, you have to invite them in.
May I come in? So John Constantine says, welcome to the House of Mystery. Please come inside. If you go inside, guess what? He's got you.
You say, heck no, because especially with John Constantine, he's just going to call you to his bedroom all the time.
Don't get tricked by that word magic.
Nah.
If you say, heck no, I'll enter on my own volition, then I think you can get out of it.
Okay, good. Then
But if he says,
I'll remember
please
that.
come inside, and you walk inside, he's got you.
Say, no thanks, brah. I'm good.
There you go.
Because I live in California.
Now, Madame Xanadu has another vision that Constantine will become evil if he possesses the Books of Magic. And Zatanna learns that only one person can truly possess the Books of Magic. That person's named Tim Hunter.
Harry Potter himself.
Now, Ashley, explain your joke a little bit here, and let's talk a little bit about the Books of Magic. What are the Books of Magic, or why does the Books of Magic have a deep connotation to the DC universe?
Sure. So the Books of Magic, most people will know them from the title written by Neil Gaiman of the same title, Books of Magic.
It was a miniseries and an ongoing series in the early 90s.
Yes. Neil Gaiman wrote the miniseries.
He only wrote the miniseries, yes.
And it is about a young boy in Britain named Tim Hunter who is pale and has dark hair and glasses and is going to grow up to be the most powerful magic wielder in the DC universe.
Yep.
And maybe not the nicest guy while he's at it. So a bunch of DC occult characters led by John Constantine all get together and they basically have to decide what to do with him. And it's kind of a greatest hits of the occult characters of the time.
And Tim Hunter meets Swamp Thing. He meets Zatanna.
He does.
Meets
The
Deadman.
Zatanna issue is great.
He meets Deadman.
He does meet Deadman on a plane.
And Madame Xanadu.
Yes, and a bunch of the, I was going to say the Morpheus characters, but the Sandman characters.
And fun fact, if you remember, one of his guides on this journey is Dr. Occult,
Yes.
who Constantine says he won the House of Mystery from.
Yes, that's true. And we do see them playing cards, so perhaps that is a callback to that moment.
mm-hmm.
But basically, the Harry Potter joke comes from he looks exactly like Harry Potter. He has a pet owl named Yo-Yo.
Who's white.
Who's white. And like if you've read Harry Potter and then you go back and read Books of Magic, which came out before Harry Potter, there's just really strong parallels there. But Tim Hunter is an incredibly important mystical figure in the DC universe.
All right. So the team has the map to the Books of Magic.
Got it.
When they open the map, it releases the Demons 3. And the demons steal their map for their master and travel to Argus headquarters, breaking Faust out of confinement, who is their master.
Hey, look at that.
The League teleport in to fight the demons, and Constantine finally gets access to the Black Room to defeat Faust.
Mm-hmm.
And he pulls some really cool items out of there, including Etrigan's the Demon's armor from
That's
the
cool.
DC comic book series Demon Knights.
That's really cool.
Now, Faust reveals that he manipulated them into opening the map for him, and Dr. Mist betrays the team by blasting Constantine in the head, revealing that Dr. Mist is a traitor.
What a dick.
Now, during this time, the series goes to a flashback, and in the flashback, we learn about Zatanna's ex and John Constantine's mentor, Nick Necro.
Oh,
Yep.
Nick. We've talked about him before on the podcast.
Nick became obsessed with the idea of ultimate knowledge, and with that knowledge, he thought it could only be found in the Books of Magic.
Mm-hmm.
These artifacts were rumored to contain all known magical knowledge, and even the source of magic themselves.
What? That's
The quest
crazy.
for the book began to consume Nick, and he drifted away from his pupils. Zatanna was Nick's girlfriend.
Yeah.
And then as Nick was like, I'm all about the Books of Magic, Constantine was like, hello, love. I'm John Constantine.
Mm-hmm.
Zatanna, would you like to smoke a cigarette?
Sure, why not?
And then
We're magical. Who
and
needs
that's
like-
how we got her.
Yeah,
So don't smoke, kids.
don't smoke.
But eventually Nick got really irritated that Constantine saw his girlfriend, and they all parted ways as enemies.
Yes.
So, and also, fun fact, John Constantine based his look on Nick Necro, and the trench coat that he wears was Nick Necro's.
Yes, it is.
Yes. So Nick Necro is back, and he's got a house of his own called the House of Secrets.
Hey, we know that name too.
Mhm. And after being knocked out of limbo by Nick Necro in the House of Secrets, the House of Mystery crashes down hard in the Sahara Desert.
Whoa.
And after spending a week being tortured by a member of the Cult Flame cult, Nick Necro discovered the existence of a temple in the Amazon where he hoped that the books might reside. But instead of the books themselves, he found the skeletal remains of the great sorcerer Mordru,
Ooh.
who is a name that should be very familiar to this podcast as well. We talked about it in Just Society of America and also like that.
Yeah.
And in Mordru's fingers, he clutched the map to the Books of Magic. He tried to open the map, but to no avail. Angrily, he threw it at the skeleton, and the disturbed remains provided him with a vision. Mordru and Merlin had further secured the books by giving the map to one wizard and the key to the map to the other. Then Nick received a vision of Tim Hunter.
Hey, we just talked about him.
Yes, and the wizards revealed that only one man was destined to possess the Books of Magic, and so long as he lived, no other being could possess them.
So take that.
So now Nick understood the one man or kid that stood in his way.
Mm-hmm.
Frankenstein of Shade.
Yeah, there you go.
He's also of Joyd.
yeah, of course, on the weekends.
Well, Frankenstein of Shade, he joins into this giant fight as well.
Mm-hmm.
And all of our heroes stand around at each other. Nick grabs Zatanna by the neck and explains that while he initially planned to get the books and make John watch as he killed Zatanna, and then sending John to hell where he belongs,
Oof.
Tim's in the way.
Well, he does that. He's a very tricksy. He's not a tricksy little kid, but he causes a lot of trouble.
Well, it's not about he's tricksy, it's the fact that he's alive.
Yeah.
So Nick Necro offers John a deal.
Mm-hmm.
He must kill Tim in order for Zatanna to remain alive. Desperately, Zatanna begs John not to take the deal. And as Tim looks up at John Constantine with an expression of betrayal, John takes Tim by the neck and twists it until it audibly snaps and Tim Hunter's dead.
Ugh. Ugh. That's horrible. Bad, John Constantine. Bad.
Gleefully, Nick tosses Zatanna aside and reaches for one of the books because they found the books at this time.
Yeah.
Only to be blasted back. From the ground, Nick looks up to see Tim transform into Black Orchid, because she's a shapeshifter, who is surprised the bait and switch ploy keeps working
She's like, guys, every time.
Yep. Looking over, the Mitchells realize that the real Timothy Hunter is being drawn towards the books. They call out to warn him that he doesn't need to accept his destiny, but he responds that he wants to, taking one of the books and opening it up. Looking over his shoulder, they are surprised to see that the books are actually alien technology and not magic.
Whoa.
And the book emits a bright light that fills Tim and carries him up into the air. A voice comes from the book, stating that it is opening a gateway, and before their eyes, Timothy and Zatanna, who jumps onto Timothy at the last second, disappear.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yes. We eventually find out that Tim and Zatanna went to a dimension called Epoch, where all magic has been outlawed, and the Justice League Dark follow them there, and they find that all of their magic powers are wonky, and they're screwed up, and eventually Tim's father, Jack Hunter, goes there too. This storyline's a little bit of a departure for the book, so I'm going to really
gloss
skim it.
over it. Yeah. Sometimes when you go a little too deep into the magical elements, it gets a little crazy.
Yes. Now, John and company in the storyline are surprised when Jack Hunter appears before them. The man uses hitherto unknown magics to fly up above Epoch and freeze everything in place. Seeking out his son, Jack explains that they will have to create a large and controlled burst of mystical energy together and send it off into space away from Epoch. Though Tim is confused by the revelation that his father can use magic,
right?
They work together to gather all the power they have and dispel it into space.
Mm-hmm. Especially if you read, like I said, that original miniseries, the fact that his dad has powers is a little out of left field.
With the two universes stabilizing, the warring factions give up their battle in this Epoch world, leaving Tim and Jack standing together. Descendants both of the Hunter, a wizard who had fought in the initial rebellion against Network in Epoch.
I get it. Hunter.
Yeah. Though everything is back to normal for them, Xanadu and Orchid are still changed. You see, during the storyline in this wonky magic dimension, Xanadu reverted to her original age.
Ooh, and she old.
Yeah, like 500, 600, 700 years old.
Yeah.
And Orchid turned into a giant parasite-looking monster.
Yeah.
They are eager to get back to Earth in the hopes they can be returned to normal by the trip. They are. Mm-hmm. And Jack and Tim, meanwhile, decide to remain in Epoch as Wizard Kings.
Ooh, that's cool. I mean, who wouldn't, really?
Yep. As soon as they come back, they turn to Steve Trevor, and John warns him and his team that he was like, we're not going to be working for August anymore, mate. And he invites those assembled to join him in solving the world's problems.
Cool.
Naturally, everyone follows John into the House of Mystery, as Trevor warns that turning their backs on him now could make them enemies of the Justice League, and naturally, John doesn't care.
Of course not. Why would John care?
Now, during the next couple of storylines, the Justice League Dark get caught up in the events of Trinity War and Forever Evil. Ashley, do you care to briefly explain what Trinity War and Forever Evil is?
I didn't read either of these, so not super.
Well, Trinity War is basically the event where all of the Justice Leagues, the Justice League of America, and the Justice League Dark, all hunt after Pandora's box, which is this mysterious box. They open it up, of course, and it opens a portal to Earth 3, which allows the Crime Syndicate to come in. That's what Forever Evil is. The Crime Syndicate basically invades Earth and beats the crap out of all the heroes.
Yeah.
There you go. The Justice League Dark is very briefly involved in both events, but it's best to just skip over them.
Let's do that.
So.
Oh, what's coming next?
Having just returned from the very pits of hell, John Constantine...
He's always in hell.
It's his favorite stomping grounds. John Constantine declares that he is the one to take over the responsibility of containing the abilities of every magician in the world.
Naturally.
But we find out that this is an imposter, John Constantine.
Oh.
Yes, you see?
That's why he was in hell.
Pandora explains and appears that there are actually two John Constantines. The one who is there is merely one of John's inner demons, materializing some of his psychosomatic feelings.
Sure, of course. Why not?
That this John had escaped John's unconscious mind when he was exposed to Pandora's box in Trinity War. Mm-hmm. And although the majority of this had been hidden by the House of Mystery, this one, of course, escaped. And this one also had a magical curiosity to him, but was also had a strong love for Zatanna.
Oh, so he's kind of a nice guy.
Yep. After this, of course, that was all taken care of. Later in the House of Mystery, John Constantine is taking a bath after this is taken care of, only to be given a rude awakening by Zatanna, who appears and angrily reams him out for daring to come back.
She's like, "You're the worst." He's like, "Hello, love. Oh, I missed you."
Yes.
Would you like some
Well,
bubbles?
because he was off in hell and he'd often done these things. Like John Constantine also in the Justice League Dark, he likes to disappear and come back. He's kind of like
He's
Gandalf
like,
in The Hobbit.
he's like Gandalf, yeah.
Yes. Now, Zatanna appears and angrily reams him out for daring to come back.
Yeah.
And incredibly, he responds that this is his house, his water, his bathtub. She tosses him. She tosses him out of the bath.
That's right.
As he reminds that she was a fool to believe that he'd ever give up for looking out for himself.
Mm-hmm.
But she can't throw him out of the house because it's bonded to him, and then he begins to realize that he is actually wrong. The bond between him and the house is broken because the house has rejected him now because of how he's treated his teammate and chosen Zatanna as his successor.
That's a smart house. I like that house.
Angrily, John steps out the door and rejects that he doesn't need the house anymore or the Justice League Dark or Zatanna.
John, baby, what are you doing?
Yep. Basically, going forward, the team goes on to have a fight with the Nightmare Nurse as John sulks in a bar about losing his girl and his team.
Aw, baby.
And Swamp Thing joins the team on a temporary basis.
That's cool. I like when Swamp Thing's on
Yep.
the team.
The Justice League Dark basically have a big adventure where the whole universe is destroyed, and it's too complicated to go into. Seriously, it is bonkers. It's a world of only magic and nothing else in that world.
It's so complicated.
It is. I don't even want to go down that road.
That's fine.
In this magical world, there were duplicates of the entire team,
Of course.
including duplicates of John and Zatanna. Zatanna sends the pair, John and Zatanna duplicates, back to the world of boundless magic that was created. So where they can find love in one another like she and the real John never could.
Yay, I'm so happy.
Unexpectedly, the House of Mystery begins speeding towards Earth, beyond Zatanna's control. It crashes down on the planet's surface, where they find the real John Constantine standing outside. He admits that he did not seize control of the house. He simply answered its call and met them there. Zatanna admits that she understands why. The time has come for her to leave the team and the house, and it needs John to be bonded with it again. She hugs him and says goodbye, and still, she's the only one of the two who remembers that they ever loved each other, truly.
Oh, that's so sad.
Because she saw the duplicates.
Yeah.
The others take their leave as well, letting John get reacquainted with the house. And he sits down in the House of Mystery and admits that it feels good to be home again.
Aw, John.
And that's the end of the comic book Justice League Dark, which hasn't been seen in the comic books until their animated film now, which has Matt Ryan returning to the role of Constantine, which he played on the TV show. And it's on digital download right now and Blu-ray this week.
Cool.
So there you go. We're going to move on into recommended reading.
Cool, where Professor Jason is going to recommend some more stories that you can pick up if you want more Justice League Dark in your life. You can find those at geekhistorylesson.com/recommended reading. Our entire catalog
That's right.
is up there.
Yep. And if you like reading, especially comic book reading, before we get to the Justice League Dark recommended reading, I just want to say we are still running our Kickstarter.
Oh, heck yeah.
For our 5-issue comic book series, Jupiter Jet, and we partnered with Action Lad Comics to do it. So you can go to jupiterjetcomic.com, all one word, and donate, guys, please donate to help us create our first comic book miniseries. We just told you the entirety of the Justice League Dark ongoing series. Help us make a comic book miniseries. You can get a cool print over there from Tim Seeley, writer of Nightwing.
Whoa.
Yep. You can get your artwork judged and critiqued by Batman artist and Sheriff of Babylon artist Mitch Gerrits.
Wait, Mitch Gerrits?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
That's a huge deal. And you can just get a trade of the book itself.
Heck yeah.
Even a $1 donation helps, and it would mean a lot, guys, if you donate it and share the link. Plus, email us at jupiterjetcomic@gmail.com to tell us that you're a GHL listener with the subject line Geek History Lesson, and we'll shoot you a Geek History Lesson magnet as thanks.
Handmade by me.
Yes, jupiterjetcomic.com. Whee! Now back to recommended reading.
Yes.
All right, my first recommendation for reading Justice League Dark is Justice League Dark, Volume 1, In the Dark. That is the first storyline where Madame Xanadu brings the whole team together. She does her magic-y things. It's very simple.
Yeah, it's good.
I also would recommend Justice League Dark Volume 2, The Books of Magic. This is my preferred run. Now, I would say that you could just start with Volume 2.
That's probably true.
It's sort of a soft reboot, This is where Steve Trevor sends him on the road to look for the books of magic and calls him Justice League Dark. It is my favorite Justice League Dark storyline, and if you really want to read a Justice League Dark storyline, it's a good one.
Yeah.
And then lastly, Justice League Dark, not Justice League Dark, Justice League Trinity War. That's the event I told you about. If you want to see the Justice League Dark interact with the Justice League and kind of fight around, and that's where the event where John Constantine gets possessed by Pandora, that's the event to do it.
Cool. Very nice.
So there you go. And now on to discussion. You might remember at the beginning of this episode, I mentioned that we had something special. Well, the something special is that Warner Brothers Home Entertainment invited me and Ashley to the LA premiere of Justice League Dark, the animated film, a couple weeks back, and we got to interview the entire cast. So for this episode's discussion on the Justice League Dark, please welcome the cast of Justice League Dark. So we are here with Matt Ryan, Constantine himself. Thanks for joining us on Geek History Lesson.
Hello, hi.
So I think a lot of people would call you the definitive Constantine by now. You pretty much have that on lockdown. Can you talk about the differences between playing John in live action versus in the animated role?
Well, what's really great is getting to flesh out his relationships with some of the characters that he has in the comic books, which we didn't get to do on the TV show. You know, like Zatanna, Deadman, Batman. All those characters which I didn't get a chance to interact with. So seeing how those relationships and, you know, the history of those relationships, bringing those to kind of fruition was one of the major differences. Obviously doing it as voice work is different. You don't have actors to interact with, but you also have a lot of freedom as well to kind of to play, and you don't have as many time constraints as you do in live action. But I would say mostly the relationships and the context in which John is in this movie is different to what I've done before, and that was kind of the most exciting thing about it, really.
So there's a question that I'm curious about. What does John Constantine think of Batman? How does he perceive him? Does he like him or does he hate him?
There's a great line where he says what he calls them, like the suits or something, or you know, and he keeps on calling him Batsy in this movie. And you know, I think he respects him, but John's the type of guy that he's reluctantly pulled into this fray with these other people, and they become a team. You know, John is he's a loner. He's a straight walker by himself, but ultimately he will do what's best for the greater good. You know, but his relationship with Batman is probably one of the funniest, because obviously Batman is skeptical of magic, and John knows that magic exists. So their relationship and the banter they have together is one of the fun things in the movie.
So we know that you're moving on with John in the voice role to the CW Seed. Was Justice League Dark a good warm-up for that? And what are you looking forward to exploring in your new animated series?
What's amazing about this character is it keeps on coming back to me, you know, and I'm so grateful to all the fans that, you know, have stuck by the show, the live-action show, and that's led to this, and the episode of Arrow, and now what's going to be the animated series on the CW, and getting to explore him in this context was great. And then, you know, to see what we're going to do with the animated series, you know, that's really exciting. You know, I have loads of ideas myself, and I can't wait to get in a room with the guys and see what they've come up with, you know.
On the Constantine upcoming animated series, if you could take one team member from this Justice League Dark team to have guest star on that show, who do you want to see the most?
Well, it depends where we go. I mean, like, his relationship with Batman, I love that because it's really fun, you know. But also, you know, it depends whether, you know, where we go with it, and kind of. I'm not sure really. I think his relationship with Zatanna is such an interesting one. That's one that I think that I would have liked to have seen introduced into the live action TV show. So Zatanna probably.
And we're here with Jason O'Mara, Batman in Justice League Dark. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So this is now your 7th animated film voicing Batman, which is
it really? Gosh.
It is, according to my notes. So what have you learned about playing the character so many times, and how has your performance changed from Justice League War?
It never feels repetitive, because I always feel like every film is either showing a different side of him or progressing the character further. So it's the same guy, but we're just learning more about him. I mean, I get the scripts as they come in, so I don't, you know, they might add stuff that we didn't know previously. But it's really useful because in a film like this, where Batman, let's say, isn't front of center, even though the poster might suggest it, because he's also the most identifiable DC hero, arguably, he's actually kind of taking a back seat and letting the Justice League, the Dark League themselves kind of take over. So he's more of a facilitator. But because he's bringing in all the emotional baggage from the other films, we feel like we know him. You know, we know he's a father, for example. We know that he had a dalliance against his will. Just because, DC don't like me using that word. But with Talia al Ghul. So, it's that guy, it's that Batman as opposed to the other iterations out there. He's not the Lego Batman, for example. So he's already got a good bit of darkness, and we already know quite a bit about him, which sort of makes my job a lot easier, especially in a show, in a movie where we don't necessarily learn more about him. But what we do see is him sort of having the opportunity to be the audience's eyes and ears and comment on what he's saying, which gives the character a little bit more of a chance for levity, which is something we don't really see from Batman.
Well, since you are now, I'm going to call you a Batman expert, I want to ask you, this is Batman's second Justice League team. I want to ask you some questions between your two Justice League members and see which one Batman likes better. Do you think Batman likes Superman more or Constantine more?
I think I'd have to say Superman. I mean, the thing is that he's had quite a few experiences with Superman and kind of probably knows him more. And even though his powers are virtually limitless, I think it's easier for Batman to sort of what would be the word, identify those powers, where I don't think he can really understand or fathom what Constantine can and can't do, or any of the other guys, for example. So, and also, Constantine isn't Clark Kent. Like, Constantine is kind of a blowhard, he's headstrong, and he's probably more like Batman than Batman would care to admit. And because of that, there's not great chemistry. I mean, it might appear like they've good chemistry, but I think they don't really like being in each other's company. And they'd both rather be working alone, frankly.
And which of the dark-haired ladies does Batman like better, Wonder Woman or Zatanna?
Again, I'd have to say Wonder Woman. But Zatanna has her appeal. She's pretty sexy in this movie, actually. So yeah, but I think, listen, there's nothing that's going to top that first Justice League.
What are the chances of Batman being a permanent fixture of the Justice League Dark as opposed to his regular tenure in the Justice League?
Well, that's a good question, but at the same time, I sort of feel like Constantine could probably take over at this point, I mean, he's holding their hands for this movie, but I feel like if there was a sequel, Batman might not be essential to the group. We'd have to see. I don't know the answer to that. Maybe a cameo. I know, it is, isn't it? I should be a lot more territorial about it. But I think Batman's real place is in the original Justice League, but that's just me. He's just got no time for these freaks.
Ray Chase, who plays Etrigan the Demon, thank you for joining us on Geek History Lesson.
Hey, I'm excited to be here.
So, first question I gotta ask is, what was it like playing the dual personalities of Jason Blood and Etrigan?
It was really cool. The casting director, Wes Gleason, really believed in me to give me two parts that both didn't sound anything like me.
You've got this suave, debonair British knight who's one, and then the crazy demon who only speaks in rhyme is another one.
And both are so far removed from my normal voice, and I'm new to this industry, so it really meant a lot that he believed in me so much that I was able to carry both performances through the entire movie, my first ever animated project.
Now, be honest, which character was more fun to play?
I couldn't. It's like picking a child, man. Because they both have good things.
We all know you like one child better.
Well, no, because Jason Blood
feels good. This kind of thing is just smooth butter, but he doesn't really get to express himself that much.
And when it's time to be really expressive, you can just do that. So both in a way give me what I want in a voice acting opportunity.
So I want to know, how many Etrigan the Demon figures do you now have in your home?
I don't have any figures whatsoever. I wish I did. I don't know if an Etrigan figure exists.
There's a couple of them, yeah.
All right, I'll have to ask my parents for a Hanukkah gift next
Head to
year.
eBay.
Yeah.
We're here with Enrico Colantoni, the voice of Felix Faust. Thanks for joining us at Geek History Lesson.
Pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Now, you are playing this Justice League dark villain, Felix Faust.
Yes.
What is it like to play and perform as a Silver Age DC Universe villain?
Wow. I had no idea he was silver aged.
Yeah.
He's been around that long?
He's been around since 62.
What? I am so not prepared for this interview. I had no idea. I had to reference my first cousin is a big comic book fan, and he, me just throwing it off like, yeah. He goes, "What are you doing?" I go, "I'm playing Felix Faust." I go, "What?" And he was so impressed that I got nervous because I had already done it. I went into the recording booth without the respect that I think I needed.
He wanted to give you tips and stuff?
Well, not that he wanted to give me tips, but I was unaware of the history that character had. But you know what? I at that point, I need to trust the people that hire me and think that I'm going to bring something different to this guy. And maybe in 2017, they need it. But wait till you see the movie, right? Because he's just, it's like, I don't want to give it away, but it's so awesome because he's the bad guy, but he's just like he's a victim. He's a victim of circumstance here, man. He's a sorcerer, man. He's got great integrity in the dark arts, and he was just studying, learning how to do what getting better at the black arts. And then he gets the Justice League has to come in and spoil everything.
Thank you again to Warner Brothers Home Entertainment for inviting us to the LA premiere of Justice League Dark, and thank you to the cast for talking to us, guys. We saw the movie at the premiere. We really liked it. And now let's move on into the teaching tweet.
Where in 140 characters or less, Professor Jason is going to sum up everything he just taught us about the Justice League Dark, because he's just that good.
Justice League Dark. Constantine's team makes me want another team called the Justice League Light, led by Kyle Rayner and full of lanterns.
I see your pitch in there. DC Comics can call Jason at any time.
There you go.
Very nice.
Yes, and that is it for this Justice League Dark episode of Geek History Lesson. Real quick, again, thank you to our sponsor, Mack Weldon. Remember, go to mackweldon.com. You can get 20% off using the promo code GEEK, which is a special offer to our listeners. And also thanks to Russ Walker, who suggested this topic.
Thank you to both of them for being amazing.
That's right. And also, you can find this podcast on Stitcher, Audio Boom, SoundCloud, and iTunes. And if you go over to iTunes, please rate and review us on iTunes because it helps other listeners find the podcast. And if you do that, we read your review on the air, including Army Geek has this review on iTunes.
Cool.
First, let me say, these two are fun to listen to.
Aw.
Their shows run from 50 minutes to about 75, and it never feels too long of a podcast. I am currently in a podcast and drive state where I just found these two and listen to them every day as I commute until I am all caught up. I can be more selective and listen to whomever, but these two make even a minor character from some universe who I know little about sound interesting enough to invest some more time into reading their stories. They put a good amount of thought and research into their geek history lessons and are very knowledgeable prior to the point. Keep it up. I love you guys. Side note, Comics for Soldiers is such a wonderful charity. Thank you for that as well. Thank you, Ex-Army Geek, for that review.
We love you too.
Yes. Now, Ashley, if they want to suggest future lessons, just like Russ Walker, where can they do that?
They can do that at geekhistorylesson.com and facebook.com/geekhistorylesson. There's a bunch of different ways that you can get in touch in both those places.
That's right. And you can go on Twitter and complain to us on Twitter, for me, at Jawin, Jawin, and for Ashley, at Ashley V. Robinson.
Mm-hmm.
And don't forget, we have Geek History Lesson Extra. It's a Patreon exclusive podcast. You can only listen to it at patreon.com/Jawin, Jawin. All that support over there helps us keep our lights on. And today's Geek History Lesson Extra is going to be, we're going to chat about other dark teams and other weird DC team-ups. Just basically some team-ups we want to see in the DC universe.
Oh, that's so cool. I'm so excited.
Justice League Dark is a weird team-up. Let's talk about some weird teams.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. I am Jason Dark Inman.
I am Ashley Victoria Robinson, and Mystical Professor Jason, would you please dismiss the class?
Thanks for listening, loves. Make sure you rate and subscribe. So says John Constantine. Or else I'll come from you. I will reach into the pits of hell and come for you.